All right. Last night closed that chapter. 24-hour rule on Florida State. Um, really felt pretty much when you watch the game tape afterwards. It's the same day or same thing I felt the day of the game is, great team victory for our kids. Just proud of the way they, um, you know, came out of that first quarter when things didn't look as good, and they were persistent on what they came down and traveled to Tallahassee to do, and that was I told them earlier in the week we're not going down here to play Tallahassee or play Florida State, we're going down to win, and that was kind of the attitude going into the game, and our kids did absolutely that. A lot of plays to be made. I know you guys have asked a lot of questions about, hey, they dropped this pass or dropped that pass, but receivers made plays when had the opportunities. I don't think there was a drop pass the entire day. That's clean football. The sacks, quarterback didn't have a chance to really scramble that much, and we took care of the quarterback and everything in there. So I was just happy with the details. Still not as happy with some of the the after the whistle penalties that we had, whether it was a late hit on a quarterback or celebration or taunting. Some of those that will drive me nuts, and try to tie that up this week. I think they watch too much NFL football and see that guys running down to the end zone and taking pictures. It's just something you can't do in college football, and we've got to act like we've been there before. So got a great challenge on the road again, headed down to Georgia Tech, and I think a tough football team. When I watch tape on them, really all three phases, you see a physical team. You really do. They got a young quarterback in Jeff Sims that's athletic. He's a freshman from Jacksonville, Florida. We recruited a year ago, so we know who he is. I know what he looks like. I know he's not 6 foot. I know he's probably more 6'4"ish. He's athletic. He's got a great arm. And then defensively, again, Jeff Collins is a defensive guy, and they play hard on defense. They're sound, and they make plays. So I mean, it'll be a tough game. It was a tough game a year ago when we went down there, and I guess we had to go to Georgia 2 years in a row. So I don't know how that plays out with the ACC scheduling in the future, but I hope they have to come to Pittsburgh 2 years in a row as well. So with that, I'll leave it open for questions from you guys.
Yeah, I guess, Pat, were you surprised going back and when the schedule was revised and you find out you go to Atlanta 2 years in a row? I mean, I guess what were your thoughts when that came out?
What am I going to do? I mean, I shake my head going like, okay, I'm just hoping it, you can't just say it's a COVID year and it didn't matter, and they only have to come up here and repeat it again. But we like going down there anyway. So just another long road trip, and our kids have done an outstanding job with that. Preparing for it and taking care of business before we leave, and obviously on that trip last week, having all our meals in a tent, guys, was interesting to say the least. And our kids just kind of didn't matter. We came down there for a reason, to win. And so we'll travel wherever we got to go play the game.
You said you had meals in a tent? What was that?
I thought we talked about that last week.
I might have missed that.
Was he sleeping? Jerry? We didn't talk about that? Maybe I talked on a radio show.
I didn't hear it, Pat. I didn't hear it.
Well, we had a little different hotel. Larry, maybe it was on our radio show. We talked about it, or maybe I'm losing my mind. But we had a hotel that's everybody stays at down, and Larry's not backing me up over there. He's driving. He's probably out golfing.
Yeah, no, Coach, you're right. We did talk about that on your show.
Okay,
that's the one thing we didn't bring up this week was Jerry.
Sorry, I missed the show. Sorry.
No, you should. I hope you're doing something besides listening to a radio show. You get a radio show here every Monday. So we had a different hotel obviously last week, and every week it's different. We go to Boston. I think I said on the radio show we went to Boston. We got the whole hotel to ourselves. You go to Miami, got some other people in the hotel. This week, we had some other people in the hotel, but it wasn't big enough to do meetings in there and to be social distance. It was just different, and we'll be great in Georgia this weekend with the place we normally stay at. But so it was a Holiday Inn down in Tallahassee, and we had big tents outside. We were eating in the parking lot with it, under a tent with fans blowing. It was interesting. But our kids, like I said, our kids didn't care. We had pregame out there. Same thing, pregame meal in a tent. I've never done that in 30-some years of coaching. So it was good. The meeting rooms were too small. The offense met in a tent outside Friday night. which is always interesting. And I was with the offense that night, and I didn't feel anything, but some of the guys were talking about like they were getting bitten up out there. You're in the swamplands, but so I didn't get bit at all, but I never do. So
like there's big party.
What's that?
Oh, sorry, Pat. There's like big party tents. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the ones with the big. I mean, it was big. We were socially distant, but we had to do that just to keep our kids safe. And we're obviously outside, but there's no way we could have eaten inside. I mean, and they had a room about as big as this little room I'm in here right now, about like 5 by 5 was going to be the offensive meeting room. So we switched it all up. I mean, we had a training room was in the bar. They shut the bar down for us. I mean, it was like we went and changed the whole building around. So Chris Asal and John Ford did a great job of organizing that.
Coach, back this Saturday for a second.
There you go.
I saw you ran a lot of 3-down linemen with Patrick Jones standing up. What did you see on tape that you employed that at Florida State?
Larry, you're a football guru. We've run it a couple times during the year, but not enough that anybody would notice. But we did stand Patrick up quite a bit, in the game. And when you look at it, I guess last week when we game planned, we haven't done a lot of it. It takes more work, more pass, more football. Just takes a little longer. And I guess in the open week, it gave us a little chance to do maybe just a little bit more. But it's hard to do. On 3rd down we usually go 3 down, okay. And on normal downs we go 4 down. But to be able to go 3 down, I guess it was based on our secondary, Larry. I guess. We pretty much played, Saturday's game without 3 starters back there. And we probably didn't have enough for nickel, and that's kind of why we just had to have a little small package of that just to get through the game. But, whether we have a couple plays this weekend, I don't know. We'll see. We haven't even got to that far. But we should be a little bit deeper, and I think we have a little bit more confidence in the back end based on the way Eric Hallett played and A.J. Woods played outstanding. I mean, Judson came in and played some meaningful snaps in the game. So just getting a game under your belt with some of those new guys out there. And as I told you, Jason will be back this week. So, we'll have a little bit more. Quez didn't play in the game, Marquez Williams, that is. So we were shorthanded in the back end against an athletic Florida State team. Good question.
Is it hard to overstate Kenny's importance to this offense?
Kenny's really good. I keep telling you guys, and when you don't have your starter out there, it's different. I mean, I saw Big Ben went out a little bit yesterday again, and you hope he never goes out again. And just like it changes what you do, and it's mainly like, I mean, you think of all the reps. I mean, if you added up every snap that Kenny Pickett has had in his last 4 years in practice and games, I mean, it's big. And when you add up the snaps that Joey Young or Davis Bevel have had in the last, as long as they've been here, I mean, it's a drop in the bucket as far as just the knowledge they have. And they're going to have it when they get a big spring ball in front of them and then a fall camp that's real fall camp. We got 3 days of spring ball in there, and, we just didn't get much. And then you get into fall camp, and who's getting majority of the reps? The starter. And then you're splitting reps trying to find out who the other guys are, and you never can find out. I mean, this spring's going to be huge for the other guys. But when Kenny Pickett's in the game, it's a different ball game, whether he can scramble or not. And again, he wasn't full go, and I think he came out of that game feeling really good, which is a positive. So he'll be a week healthier this week as we go, and then maybe there's some opportunities to run him a little bit more if we have to.
Is his presence more as important emotionally as it is anything else? Just the way it's sort of having him out there helps the other guys?
Well, I think, naturally everybody has a little bit more confidence in the guy that's done it for, all those reps we just talked about, the million reps. So, there's obviously the confidence part of it, but there's also the execution part that's huge. And, it's different when you've been, that quarterback spot back there, you can ask Florida State's quarterback how different it is to sit back in the pocket, seeing stuff come at you. It ain't easy. And he's a younger guy as well. But it's a little bit different back there compared to Ian Book a couple of years ago compared to where Ian Book was this year. I mean, you look at the difference where we got him a couple of times a year, a couple of years ago, in South Bend, and all of a sudden this year, Ian Book's like a different dude. And they played pretty good this weekend as well.
Pat, is that confidence not just with the offensive guys, but defensive guys and special teams? Like, hey, we've got our quarterback back. Maybe it gives them a lift as well.
Yeah, Jess, I think all those things are factors mentally. I think our defense feeds off our offense feeds off the defense. When our offense is moving the ball, and I'm not getting on headphones saying punt alert, and so the defensive guys can get up near the offense in case we don't get a first down on third down. It's kind of like, it's like I feel like I just said that, a minute ago, punt alert, and there's another punt alert. But when they're moving the ball down the field and scoring, and defense gives them a nice short field and they score, they feed off each other. And, it gets frustrating. And that's when things happen in the second half, which we saw against Miami. We certainly saw against Notre Dame, where guys are trying to do too much instead of just do their job, and then it gives up even bigger plays. So they feed off each other offensively and defensively when things happen during the game. And I think, everybody fed off of A.J. I thought the play of the game was A.J. Wood's pick. That changed the tide right there. And then our offense responds.
How's Patrick Jones' cover skills? One, and two, just what is specifically about him that you trust him to do that job of standing up?
Well, if you watched it closely, I don't know, Larry, you got any stats for me, Larry? How many times did he go in coverage, Larry?
Yes, he did.
No, he did not. He never. He rushed all the time. It was just rushing from a different spot over one of those guards. So, our confidence in him covering anybody, probably not real high, and maybe not very smart on our part. If we're taking one of our best rushers and having them drop back in coverage, probably you guys would look at me afterwards and go, "What are you guys talking about? Like, what are you doing?" Matter of fact, a really good defense is to drop Weaver and Patrick Jones off in coverage. That would be
zone blitz town, Pat. I think people would be okay with it.
Okay, well, maybe we'll put it in for you this week. We'll see how it works, and if it's bad, I'm going to blame you.
Chris Dolman used to do it.
Yeah, it was back in 19 what? They lined up in three. They were in three-back set. They were lined up in a bone with the quarterback under center. This quarterback was 6'5", 245 pounds, and ran a 5'3" back in the day.
Pat, you're coaching a team, especially in defense. It looks a lot different than the one you took to training camp in late July and early August. What does that say? And you've got a lot of young guys who are playing. What does that say about the trajectory of the program? You can insert a lot of young guys to replace these seniors, and you're able to win 8 points.
Yeah, I mean, I was really impressed. I mean, Archie Collins and Corey Sanders did an outstanding job getting those guys ready, and like I tell our kids, nobody cares what you did last week. What are we going to do this week? Because I may say something different, next Monday. But did a great job. Like I said, you get more and more confidence. We talked about it, after the BC game that, we wore Jason Pinnock out, and that's a coaching error. And then we got A.J. Wood some reps, and all of a sudden now you're going. And Eric Howard, all along, guys, he's been kind of DeMar's backup. He plays the star position on third down. He plays corner. He's like the utility guy in everything, and I feel bad sometimes. But he starts at corner, and he made some plays out there and covered Terry, their best wideout a few times. I'm like, he's not having any problems. He's not running away. So, you just find out different things every week. If you recruit the right guys that have talent, and again, it's not all about the talent. It's about the character of our guys, and that's win, loss. I was happy with the way that secondary played Saturday. Not only in the passing game, but obviously the run game. Brandon Hill could have been a little bit better on that big, long 88-yard run, but it wasn't just him.
Are there any kind of special problems or situations that crop up when you're coaching a team with a lot of young guys?
Yeah. See all this gray hair like you got? They give you a lot of gray hair, that's for sure. But there's nothing more than normal. Coaching young guys is young guys. It depends on how much knowledge they have, and it's our job as coaches to get it out of them. Nothing, it's called coaching. That's the fun part. You'd like to do that. Now, you don't necessarily like the results on Saturday if you don't get what you want, but that's what happens when you're playing with young guys.
Pat, Vassier is second in the country in tackles for loss as of this week. What's it kind of impressed you most about the season he's put together so far?
His motor. I talk about effort all the time. Attitude, effort, toughness. He's tough. He's got everything you want in a linebacker. But, if you saw 2 of his sacks, I don't know if you guys watch it as closely as we do, it's bang, bang out there. But he had two where he either misses, falls on the ground, he's flat on his face like this, and then he gets off the ground and goes and gets a sack. It's like, I mean, you watch other guys, they lay on the ground, get up slowly or pound the ground and go, oh. And I'm not talking about our guys. Our guys play with a motor, and that's the kid has just got a motor. He doesn't stop, and and again, he's got a great instinct for the football. He's obviously a talented young man, and he's really smart. He's really athletic, and he plays with a great motor. And what else do you want in a football player?
Pat, are you starting to see this Georgia Tech team look, I guess, less like a triple option team and more like a Jeff Collins team at this point?
Yeah, I mean, you see you see a transition for sure, and they're a lot better football team than they were a year ago, and obviously they gave us issues last year, so I think they're tough. I think he's got his culture built there. He's still recruiting, but when I look at their offensive line, because defense is defense. I mean, it doesn't matter. Nothing changed for the defense except their defense gets to play against normal offenses during summer camp. But the biggest change was what they've done with their offense, and I think they've done a great job offensively as far as what they do, how they do it, what they're trying to do. And like I said, the Jeff Sims kid's a young guy. They're playing a guy. I think he's going to be sharp. But he's got a nice arm. He's smooth. He knows he can read coverages. You see him look off stuff. He'll go over here and go from 1, 2, 3. So you see him reading the field. He's not just throwing RPOs, but they will throw some RPOs for sure this weekend.
Coach, is Nick Patty creating a new position as the official quarterback sneaker? Are you putting any Nick Patty packages in for this week?
I don't know. I wouldn't tell you if I did know, but I would say no. It's just a situation we're in next week. I would think, Georgia Tech would kind of have that one figured out already. So I would probably say you probably wouldn't see that package again. Don't count on it. We probably saw it too many times. That third time we ran, the quarterback zone was probably, that was it. I didn't think we'd run it 3 times. I don't think Coach Whipple thought he'd run it twice, but we were just in that situation.
Pat, I wanted to give you a chance to talk about maybe some of the younger players that stepped up over the past week because, you guys coming into this, you had a losing streak, you snapped it, and this had to be a learning experience about resilience for a lot of your younger players. What are some of the things you saw, just maybe some stories about different players you saw this week and what they were putting into the team?
Yeah, I mean, again, it takes a team. It was a team win, but just some of the young guys. I mean, obviously Jordan Addison. I mean, he's a young guy, but he's an old man in our offense and on our team. But John Morgan's done some great things just as young guys. I mean, Jules is getting snaps at the end. Haba Baldonado, you saw him come out. I think he missed a sack one time, and he's probably not 100%. As a matter of fact, I was a little shocked that he got out there. Tyler Bentley continues to improve, but Tyler Bentley didn't play Saturday as well. I mean, David Green hobbled out there. He hasn't been healthy. I mean, we put probably a banged up team out there and brought a banged up team. And Tyler Bentley was with us but did not play. I'm trying to think of other young guys. I mean, they're all. The whole secondary. We've already talked about them. Linebackers, Voss is probably the young guy in there. But you look at some of the special teams. I guess maybe we'll go special teams and not a young guy, but Kirk Christodoulou. I mean, the way he punted 51-yard net, that's almost unheard of. But like Bengali coming down on a kickoff and clotheslining the one guy, I'm glad it wasn't a penalty. But just some of our young guys that are covering kicks and on our punt return team, and Bengali's a guy. AJ Roberts is running down. Aiden Henningham, getting another true freshman. I think at one time we had 5 true freshmen on one side of our kickoff team. So those are some of the things you see, and I'm going to miss some names here, but we've got a lot of young defensive guys that play on special teams.
Pat, do you have any more clarity, or have you talked to the seniors about what their decision will be after this year, and how do you handle that with the young guys?
We haven't talked much about the seniors. I'm kind of worried about Georgia Tech right now. Might come up next week when we talk about Senior Day, which I don't even want to get to that point. But that topic may come up a little bit more next week, where I got to pull the guys aside. Maybe I got to have meetings on the airplane on the way back, from Georgia, just to kind of find out. I've got a feel for some guys what they're thinking, but I think people want to really wait till the end of the season to find out where they are, what they did, and how they finished up the season as far as seniors go. Does that answer, Jeff? So we just worried about trying to be 1-0 this week.
Pat, what did you think of your offensive line play on Saturday? Not only getting the running game going, but protecting Kenny where he didn't have to really scramble a ton on that ankle.
Yeah, great point. I think they did a great job. And again, you look at Miami's defense. You look at Notre Dame and Miami. Those two fronts that we saw. And does anybody know how many yards Clemson rushed for on Notre Dame's defense? Does anybody know?
Etienne had 28 yards, I think.
Who did?
Travis Etienne. Or I think he only had 20, somewhere in there. I'm not sure the exact number, but he didn't have a big game.
No. I think they may have had like 48, less than 50 yards rushing. EJ will do a stat right now. I can see him. He's on his computer right now doing some type of. But, I mean, I think Clemson rushed for 40, 50 yards on Notre Dame's defense. So when you look at it, are we there yet? No. Did we play Notre Dame's defense again this weekend? If we had, then maybe we would have made a few strides there. So, we'll find out at the end of the year and measure where they are, what they did. But like I said, sometimes it's the team you're playing against. But let me tell you, Florida State's got a bunch of NFL guys on that defensive line, and they're really athletic at the end spot. I mean, but our guys did some good things Saturday in all phases of the run game and obviously the pass game, keeping Kenny clean as they did. We shouldn't even gave up the one sack that we did. But Carter got his hand chopped down and just didn't have as good a punch with that left arm.
For the record, Clemson had 34 yards rushing.
They had 34, Clemson? Okay.
Correct.
When we have 22, so they got us by 10. So, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. It's not easy. I mean, it's a good defense, as we talked about, and now they threw for 500 yards maybe, but that was the other part of it.
Pat, you mentioned Notre Dame. I have a colleague working on a story on Notre Dame's impact on the conference this year, just being involved. I'm sort of curious, would you, in your heart of hearts, like to see them become a permanent member of the conference just from a competitive standpoint? And if it does, it looks like it's probably just going to be a one-year deal. Does that almost make the other coaches sort of pull for whoever they might face if they get to the ACC championship game? You're almost hoping they don't win it since they're just sort of interloping this year?
Yeah, I mean, I hope they do. I hope they, to me, it's either play with us or don't play with us. You almost like to boycott it, but if you want to play in the ACC, come play in the ACC. And again, I'm not the commissioner, and that's Coach Swafford's job to help out there. But to me, it's either play or don't play. And if you don't want to play, let's not give them 5 games. Let them go, play BYU and whoever else they want to play. But we shouldn't give them the games. But they're talented, and we'd love to have them in the ACC for sure.
Alan, I think you were poised for one, right? We'll give you the last one.
Yeah, Pat, I wanted to ask you about Rashad Battle, Georgia kid, and a freshman that's played a little bit, probably more than you expected. But what do you see out of him as like a long-term prospect? He's a big guy compared to some of your other corners. Yeah,
it's the young guy that another guy that I didn't talked about Judd, but probably should have talked about him as well. And I'm probably missing somebody else. Even Javante Royal was another guy. But Rashad Battle, playing on special teams. Has been really good, and he got a lot of reps at quarter last week, and I don't know how many snaps he got in the game, but maybe 10 or 12. I don't have those stats in front of me, but Rashad Battle is going to be a great player here. He's tall. I mean, you look for that mismatch as far as height sometimes, and when he's on the field, you're not going to worry about he's too short to play against that guy. You're not worried about flopping your corners or does he play in the boundary? He play to the field. All those things, but he's a guy that can play anywhere. He is going to be an outstanding corner in this conference, and he's an unbelievable kid. He'll be going back home this week, and I know he'll be fired up.
Game or the things you emphasized, among your blockers and among your backs, that maybe they weren't doing before that they did do on Saturday?
I was in a meeting about 2 hours ago with Coach Salem, Coach Borbs, and Coach Powell, just talking more of the run game. And again, I don't like to get involved in it, but there's still a lot of little things. But it comes down to the details. Sometimes people look at the formation and the backfield set and all this, but just some of the details. They just cleaned up some of the details, I think. Try to make it a little bit simpler. To me, when your kids are playing fast and know what to do, it's more important than having all these schemes to get all these run game things going. So it's a constant work in progress, and they cleaned up some of the details. We got some movement, and but that was last week. We're working on next week. Come on, Jerry.